Tank Davis, Lamont Roach. I think we need to start with that one.
Yeah.
What transpired in that fight was astounding, because you have to remember Tank Davis was a 16-1 favorite going into this fight. Lamont Roach, while a WBA champion, was moving up from 130 pounds, and no one thought he had a chance. And the general demeanor of Tank Davis going into this fight was like, hey man, I'm kind of done with this. I got 3 fights left. I'm going to be done by the end of 2025. I don't really like this sport anymore. Kids, don't do this. Go into soccer. This ain't for you.
Davis lands a left. Oh, nice double left hook by Roach to the body and then to the head. Right hand. So good success here for Roach in round 7. Davis. Oh, there's a right hook to the body by Davis. Ripping.
Ariel Helwani is the latest boxing analyst to take aim at Gervonta Davis. The Baltimore fighter faced embarrassment in front of the entire boxing community following his bout against Lamont Roach. During a conversation with Aid Oladipo, Helwani shared his candid thoughts on the fight. While he acknowledged the record-breaking numbers from the first bout, he predicted that the rematch would likely be PBC's biggest sellout of the year. This, he noted, is due to the growing number of people eager to see Davis lose and witness what many are calling his downfall. Helwani also pointed out that Davis isn't widely loved in the boxing world. He emphasized that the draw was a major setback for Davis's career, given the circumstances surrounding it.
And it just was sort of like he was apathetic. Before the fight, he talked about, oh, you know, I'll call someone out and this, that, and the other. Like, it all kind of felt like an afterthought. And then the fight happens, and truth be told, like, the fight wasn't the best fight of all time. It was fine. It wasn't your vintage Tank Davis fight. There wasn't a knockout. There wasn't a knockdown scored by him. It was just sort of fine.
Davis digs to the body. Oh, and that right, but Davis took off some of the steam of the punch, but still, Roach leading with right. He took a knee. He took a knee.
You take a knee like that, that looks like a knockdown. All right? That's all.
That's a generous call from him. Did he not take a knee? Took him out. He took him out. That's right.
Helwani joined the millions of boxing fans who believe Gervonta Davis was lucky to escape with a draw. Given how chaotic his performance was, Helwani concluded that this was yet another example of the favoritism in boxing, a major issue that must be addressed if the sport wants to maintain its reputation for fairness. Roach Jr. seemed to be on the verge of a historic victory, but everything changed in the 9th round when one of the most dramatic moments in recent boxing history unfolded. Stepping away from an exchange, Davis suddenly took a knee and rushed to his corner. Strictly speaking, the move, voluntary or not, should have been ruled a knockdown. However, no such call was made, and Davis faced no consequences. In the end, he retained his title as the fight ended in a controversial draw. While Davis gave his version of events, skepticism remains. In cases like this, expert opinions can shed light on the situation. Sports journalist Chris Mannix consulted 3 senior boxing referees about the Davis-Roach fight, and they all agreed the knee should have been ruled a knockdown. One of them even stated that Davis should have been disqualified for taking a knee simply to get a quick face wipe.
If that was your first time watching Tank, you're probably like, okay, yeah, sort of, I get it. But it kind of speaks to his demeanor going into the fight. Like, it just felt a little bit underwhelming. And then we get to the 9th round, and then it's complete madness, because in the 9th round, you probably have heard by now, the fight is moving along, and it is important to note that Lamont Roach lands a jab or two, and where we want to start the clock.
The moment Tank's cornerman made contact with him, the referee should have immediately disqualified him, said a boxing insider. In a detailed critique, he also questioned the actions of referee Steve Willis. According to Glazer, if the knockdown had been properly counted, Lamont Roach Jr. should have either won by disqualification in the 9th round or secured victory by majority decision. Lamont Roach should have won that fight by DQ in round 9 or, with the knockdown counted, by majority decision, he emphasized in his criticism.
Cards, judge at the ringside, Eric Marlinski scores about 115 to 113 in favor of Gervonta Davis. Judges Steve Weisfeld and Glenda Feldman both scored about 114 to 114, even a draw. The decision is a majority draw.
The ninth round was kind of a microcosm of Gervonta Davis's life in some ways, said Keith Idec on the Ariel Helwani show. He pointed out Davis's apparent habit of bending the rules or acting outside the norm without facing consequences. Idec argued that Davis frequently takes liberties in the ring, citing the ninth round of his recent fight, where he took an unsanctioned timeout despite boxing not allowing such breaks, and yet he got away with it. He also compared this to a past incident during his fight against Hector Luis Garcia, where a brawl in the crowd distracted Davis, and he seemingly took another unofficial break. According to Idec, Davis does what he wants and often avoids repercussions. He also recalled how just a few months ago Davis arrived several hours late to a press conference with no consequences. Meanwhile, the latest reports indicate that the fight is currently under review, with the possibility that the result could be overturned.
Is up to, debate, but he certainly lands a punch. And then seconds later, seconds after that punch lands, that jab lands, all of a sudden Tank Davis takes a knee. He quickly takes a knee, and there it is right there. Ninth round, 217. He is taking a knee, and he's looking to his corner. And he also, ever so briefly, it appears as though he's almost trying to call time.
The 29-year-old from Washington, D.C. challenged Tank for his WBA lightweight title on March 1st, delivering a career-best performance against the three-weight world champion in New York. The fight was declared a split decision draw after 12 exhilarating rounds, although things could have been very different following the events that unfolded in the ninth round. Davis sensationally took a knee after being on the receiving end of a jab from Roach, although referee Steve Willis decided not to rule it as an official knockdown. This controversial moment has sparked debate in the boxing community, with many fans and pundits in disbelief at the decision and questioning whether Roach should have had his hand raised at the end of the contest. Speaking on the Come and Talk to Me podcast, Roach revealed that he attempted to call Tank after the fight following a bet that had reportedly been made between the fighters before the contest.
In case you don't know, in boxing, you take a knee, that's considered a knockdown. You cannot call time. And you know what you also can't do? You also can't go to your corner mid-round and ask them to wipe your face. Ask them to do anything. You can't get a swig of water. You can't do this. You cannot do that. But that all happened. And so the referee for this fight is a legendary referee, Steve Willis. You have probably seen him in...
Look, man, I'm going to tell you, I called his phone. He must have changed his number or something. I didn't get no response. Maybe he's on his thing right now. I called him. And then I DM'd him and told him I called you, call me back. I didn't necessarily talk about the money, but I just told him call me back. A rematch between Davis and Roach looks set to take place following the events of their first fight, with an official announcement expected in the coming weeks. It has been reported that the fight will happen in either May or June. The New York State Athletic Commission upheld the Gervonta Davis Lamont Roach result, which ended in a majority draw after a controversial ninth round. According to a ruling obtained by ESPN on Friday, 2 judges scored the WBA lightweight title bout 114-114, while a third scored it 115-113 for Davis. In the ruling, the commission stated that Roach's protest was denied because the bout continued for more than 3 full rounds after the referee's no knockdown call, and because the boxers necessarily adjusted to the referee's ruling, making it not outcome determinative.
Kind of like big-eyed look. You've definitely seen him. He's a veteran of the fight game. I'm not exactly sure what happened. I'm not suggesting he was in on it. But there was certainly a fumbling in this particular case, because he very briefly starts to count when the knee hits the canvas. Then when Tank goes to the corner and gets his face wiped off, he's like, well, what's going on? We can't show it because it's PBC, but by now you've probably seen it all over social media.
Davis, one of boxing's top stars, took a knee in round 9 after a series of Roach punches that landed. Referee Steve Willis started to count, but when he reached 3 he stopped and did not rule it a knockdown. The commission's ruling stated that after an extensive review of the 9th round footage, the most appropriate call would have been for the referee to determine that Davis's knee touching the canvas constituted a knockdown. However, the decision of whether a knockdown occurred was ultimately within the referee's discretion and authority. The ruling also noted that if a knockdown had been called, it would be impossible to determine if the final 3 rounds would have played out the same way. The commission stated that speculating on what might have happened would be misplaced, and that setting such a precedent would not ensure a correct outcome retroactively nor align with the best interest of boxing. The ruling confirmed that if Willis had called a knockdown, Roach would have won by decision. Instead, the WBA junior lightweight champion settled for a draw in his attempt to become a two-weight champion. In what would have been a shocking upset, Davis entered the fight as a -2,000 favorite. According to ESPN bet, Lamont and his team remained disappointed with the outcome and the lack of action from the commission, but expressed gratitude for the support of the boxing public. Roach's attorney, Gregory M. Smith, told ESPN that Lamont is confident a rematch will end in victory, but until then he considers himself the people's champion at 135 gloves.
Probably seen it all over social media. Then he stops counting and the fight resumes. That should have been a 10-8 round for Lamont Roach. Or if you scored that a 10-9, then it's a 9-9. Point being, the fight ends in a majority draw. If you look at the scorecards, there they are. You got a 114-114. You got another 114-114.
Davis of Baltimore said after the bout that he took a knee because grease from a hair treatment on Thursday burned his eyes. He was also allowed to have his corner wipe his eyes with a towel, which is prohibited during the round as only the referee has the authority to halt the action. Davis's in-ring IQ is highly underrated. He has shown the ability to download data in the early rounds against other opponents, but against Roach, he never seemed to find his rhythm. After the fight, Roach received strong support, including from Davis's rival Shakur Stevenson, who praised his performance and even offered to be his next opponent. While that fight makes sense, a Davis rematch with Roach is what fans want to see most, especially after Roach made us question whether Davis is truly unbeatable.
No, something funny. We was talking in like the 12th round, I think the 12th or 11th. We was talking shit, right? But he like, you ain't gonna win.
I know something funny. We was talking in like the 12th round, I think 12 or 11 we was talking, right? But he like, you ain't going to win. Roach, a former amateur rival of Davis, deserved to be the leading story after handing Tank a -1,600 betting favorite, the first blemish of his professional career in their controversial majority draw inside Barclays Center. The commission said Monday it requested video replay, but a technical issue prevented it in the allotted time. The 29-year-old Roach of Washington, D.C., remains the WBA title holder at 130 pounds. Roach is rated number 6 by ESPN at lightweight. Davis, 30, is ESPN's number 1 lightweight and number 8 pound-for-pound boxer. The highly anticipated rematch between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach has captured the attention of the boxing world, and Ryan Garcia, who has first-hand experience with Davis, has shared his perspective on the outcome. Garcia, who faced Davis in April 2023 and suffered a 7th-round TKO loss, is closely following the trajectory of both fighters.
I don't like knockouts, I like punishment, you know what I'm saying? And then sometimes things gotta happen to make you get back to where you belong at, you know what I'm saying? And that was a good skill.
It was supposed to be another routine night at the pugilistic office for Gervonta Davis and his team. The moment his showdown against Lamont Roach was announced, Team Davis never seemed concerned or unnerved. Roach was a familiar face with a more than respectable record, and while he did hold a title, he was considered the smaller man.
Split decision win for Lamont Roach. He was robbed. The knee hitting the canvas should be a knockdown. The face getting wiped should be a DQ. They didn't use replay, apparently, and we're going to talk to Keith Idec about all this, but there is replay in New York, and a fight that was kind of viewed as an afterthought would now be a gigantic rematch and one of the biggest upsets of the past, 10, 15 years. 16-1 is gigantic.
Viewed as a sizable underdog, Roach fought like a man with something to prove from the start. He boxed beautifully from the outside. When Davis forced him to abandon the jab and fight on the inside, he adapted without hesitation. By the time the final bell rang, fans inside Brooklyn's Barclays Center stood dumbfounded. Although they had witnessed 36 minutes of pure violence, they were unsure who would be awarded the victory. As the scores were slowly being tallied, Team Davis waited patiently. In the end, the grins on their faces disappeared as their man was forced to settle for a majority decision draw.
Like, skillful, both of them want to take certain chances. Some of them take chances. You know what I'm saying? We seen it was like we was on a boat, and it was just like.
For the first time in his pro career, Davis walked out of the ring without an official win as he slumped into his chair backstage. His team, including Barry Hunter, shook their heads in disapproval at the decision. The first fight between Davis and Roach, held in March, was a closely contested battle that sparked intense debate over the judge's decision. With the rematch on the horizon, Ryan Garcia has not hesitated to share his prediction, adding even more excitement to the upcoming clash. The first meeting between Gervonta "Tank" Davis and Lamont Roach was far from a walk in the park for Davis. Roach proved to be a formidable opponent, pushing the fight to 12 rounds and challenging Davis in every moment. One particularly controversial moment occurred in the 9th round, when Davis voluntarily took a knee, but the referee did not perform the count.
14. And in the middle, you got a 115, 113. Had they scored that round, or scored the knockdown, I should say, all of a sudden that 114, 114 is 114, 113 for Lamont Roach. All of a sudden that second one, Steve Weisfeld, one of the best judges in the sport, is another 114, 113. And all of a sudden that middle one is a 113, 114. But all of a sudden now you're going to from a majority draw to a split decision win.
The judge's decision, with 1 card in favor of Davis and 2 reflecting the parity of the fight, highlighted the controversy. The failure to score the 9th round as a 10-8 in favor of Roach deprived him of the opportunity to be crowned the new WBA lightweight champion. Now, with the rematch scheduled for this summer, expectations are sky high. In an interview with ES News, Ryan Garcia shared his prediction for the rematch. "Tank. I think he'll put on a different gear. I think he just thought it would be easier than it was and thought Roach would fold. And he didn't. Now we should expect a harder fight. And I think he wins the rematch." Garcia's perspective, based on his own experience with Davis, adds intrigue to the matchup. He suggests that Davis underestimated Roach in their first meeting and will come into the rematch with a higher level of intensity and determination. Hunter, who stepped into the leading role ahead of Calvin Ford, believes the judges got it wrong. From his vantage point, Davis had his hands full, and there would be no point in being dishonest about it. But he is fully convinced that in the final rounds, Davis turned a close back-and-forth battle into a clear-cut win.
You got to give him credit. So.
Hey guys, this is Will. Now what? It is what it is. Going back home, who's going to have the bracket?
On the flip side, many believe Davis deserved to lose the decision, and that referee Steve Willis should have ruled him down when he took a knee in the 9th round. Davis has faced heavy criticism from almost everyone in the boxing community. Since the fight with Roach, the two fighters have since expressed their desire for a rematch, and the New York State Athletic Commission is reviewing the mishap in the 9th round when the replay system failed, preventing Davis's gesture from being reviewed and ruled a knockdown.
So happen to be a boxing fan, that the fact that I do watch him fight, you know what I'm saying? Like I really like boxing.
Are you open to immediate rematch?
In my contract, immediate rematch was signed. I signed for the immediate rematch when I signed for the first fight.
Right.
Just in case he lost or just in case it was a draw.
So when you got a rematch clause, how long will you take it?
It's up to the A side and when they want to fight. So I'm thinking it's going to be soon. I'm hoping it's going to be soon. Let's say that.
What is soon to you? When you say soon to me, I'm thinking a month.
I'm thinking July.
I'm thinking July for sure.
Ryan Garcia's prediction for the rematch between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach has ignited passionate debate among boxing fans. Anticipation for the matchup is high, and Garcia's insights, based on his experience with Davis, add an extra layer of intrigue. The lingering question is whether Davis will assert his dominance in the rematch or if Roach will redeem himself and capture the title. The rematch promises to be an exciting and controversial spectacle, with the boxing world watching closely. Had Davis been ruled down in the 9th round, Roach would have won the fight by majority decision and become a two-division world champion. As it stands, Davis remains the champion and keeps his unbeaten record intact.
Tank on the rematch. Did you let me know now? Did you want to fight Tank again? He said he open door rematch. Did you want to fight Tank again?
It's only a matter of time. We're gonna fight. We're gonna fight again. It's just whenever the fight will happen.
So it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
Okay. They say they want in New York. Do you want to fight again in the Barclays Center?
I want mine, but I love for it to be in DC.
Okay.
Throughout his career, Davis has relied on his athleticism, patience, and punching power to dominate his opponents. On Saturday, however, he faced an opponent who was not intimidated and absorbed Tank's power without major consequences. While Davis still commands respect for his abilities in the ring, there are clear areas where opponents can challenge the WBA champion. Before Roach's impressive performance, the only other fighter to go the distance with Davis was Isaac Pitbull Cruz. Many will be watching closely to see if Davis is serious about an immediate rematch. If the second fight happens, it will be interesting to see if Roach fights with more confidence, but less discipline. As for Davis, it remains unclear whether he can adjust his style when needed. The boxing world is eagerly awaiting Davis's next move. Stay tuned for the latest updates on the biggest moments, events, and controversies in boxing.